Hey, it's the preacher here, and we're back in the kitchen today. Middle of summer, and it's the time of year when you're kind of putting up stuff from the garden. Our tomatoes are just starting to get ripe. We've got one that we could probably pick tomorrow, and then we got a whole bunch more that are just starting to turn red. So we'll probably be canning tomatoes by the end of the week. Today we put up some pints of pickles. We made several different kinds of dill pickles, and I made some pepper sauce with some cayenne peppers and vinegar. And we've pretty much just been working on that. But one of the things you can do is you can buy onions when they're on sale. We particularly like these Vidalia onions, but Vidalia onions, you only get them at a certain time of the year. And so if you buy a bag of them, you can buy them real cheap. I think we bought a 6 or 7 pound bag of onions. I don't remember what we paid for it. It wasn't that much. But Vidalia onions, as good as they are, they don't keep very long. And so what we're going to do is we're going to leave out 1 or 2 to use this week with different things we're going to cook. And then we're going to chop up the rest and freeze them. And I'm going to show you how I do that. Anybody can slice onions or chop onions. But I'm going to slice some, I'm going to chop some, I'm going to vacuum seal some, and then I'm going to put some in just a Ziploc baggies. And I'll show you kind of the reasoning behind that. So now's the time, if you like Vidalia onions, now's the time to buy a bunch of them. And this is a good way to keep your onions so that you can use them later on. And it'll save you some money. So let's get started. Okay, time for a little pro tip. Onion freezing pro tip. Yeah. You only get those Preacher's Day off. You don't get this kind of information anywhere else. I've got 3 large onions, and I don't think that last one was a Vidalia. It made me cry like a baby. Anyways, we've put them in a 1-gallon freezer bag. And the reason that we're chopping these up and putting these in a 1-gallon freezer bag is because we plan on using these first. So instead of shaking them all down at the bottom where they, take up the least amount of room in your freezer, you actually want to do the other way around. You want to spread them out. I've squeezed all the air, not all, but most of the air in there that I could get out. And now I'm going to make them flat. And here's why. If they freeze in this thin way like this, see, they're not that thick. It's just a thin layer of onions in a 1-gallon bag. Now I can just reach in there, even after they freeze, and pull out what I want because they're spread out flat. And I'm going to throw this in the freezer, and then in about 2 hours, I'm going to go in there, maybe an hour, and kind of break it up a little bit, and then stick it right back in the freezer. And by breaking it up, that will ensure that this doesn't become one big giant 3-onion popsicle. These will be the onions we will use first. I have 3 Vidalias still in the bowl, and we will use those this week and next week. These here I've sliced, and I've sliced them because if you're going to freeze them long term, they keep better if they're sliced than if they're smaller pieces. So these are sliced, and I will put these, I think there's about 4 or 5 onions there. I think I'll split those between 2 vacuum sealed freezer bags. And the reason I didn't vacuum seal this is because we will use this up in the next month to 2 months. Don't forget to write on it. You need to say what it is and when you put it in there. I know you're looking at that and you're going, well, I can look at that and tell they're onions. Yeah, that's until you freeze them for about 3 months, and then you think it's pork fat. And when you get ready to make sausage and realize you've thawed out 2 pounds of onions instead of 2 pounds of pork fat, you can say, preacher told you so. So I'm going to write how much I put in here, which is 2 onions. And in this one I have 2 onions. Now, I want to brag a little bit on the Food Saver before I let you go. The Food Saver is great if you're going to store things longer in the freezer longer than a month or 6 weeks. If you're going to throw something in there and it's going to be gone in 6 weeks, you don't really see the benefit of pulling all the air out and vacuum sealing it. But if you're going to freeze something like onions for, say, 4 months or 6 months or a year, you will really see the benefit of this because you keep that freezer from doing what it does, which is suck the moisture out of things when they freeze, and then you have that frost burnt look on the outside. So I recommend, if you're going to freeze vegetables longer than, say, 6 weeks, go ahead and put them in a vacuum sealed bag. If you're going to freeze them for a month or for next week or whatever, then you don't necessarily need to do that. So what will happen is, we'll probably buy some more Vidalias when these 3 in here are gone, and we'll eat on them, and then we'll work on that chopped up bag in the freezer. And then maybe 4 months down the road, when there are no more fresh ones and we've ran out of the chopped up bag, we'll open up a bag of these and let them thaw, and then I'll take half of them and put them in a Ziploc baggie, maybe throw them back in the freezer, maybe use them all depending on our needs. And then once that bag's gone, then we'll go to the next one. By buying all of these onions all at one time, all at a great price, being able to vacuum seal them, chop them, put them in a usable bag, by being able to do all this, we've saved ourselves some money, and we're eating the food that we want, or the type of onions that we want, anytime that we want them. So I'd encourage you, try it. If you don't have vacuum sealed bag, you know, freeze them in a Ziploc bag, and don't buy as many. But if you have a Food Saver bag and you like Vidalias, take it from me, it's a good way to store them and put them up. So thank you guys for watching. Hope that helps you save a little money and eat the food you like. Tomatoes. 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 Oh, where art thou, tomato? Tomato, tomato, wherefore art thou, tomato? Green, green. Oh gosh, green, green. Green, green. What? What? Wait. One more day. Tomorrow you will be mine.